Hello, everybody. Welcome to a late night Wandering Scribe audiobook episode. Now, I know it's been a while now since my last episode of this series. I'm just getting back to my schedule, but I am here now. Now, where he last left off, Michael and his allies traveled to a small island off the Irish coast to retrieve much needed medical supplies from the Skelkies, a figure from Irish mythology. But when they arrive on the island, they see that they're not the only ones. Turns out a local pirate crew have taken the island as their own. And now, Barjon, Margaret, Fiona, Colum, and Ambrose must find a way to get the Skelkies off the ship, while also dealing with the pirates. So without further ado, let us continue. Chapter 6. Wrath of the Hydra. "Beth, you look good," said Barjon. Out of all the humans Barjon despises, Beth is at the top of his list. His and Margaret's encounters with her began early in their travels. At that time, she was not a pirate. Instead, she was the leader of a bandit group called... Well, that name has faded into history. But regardless, they plagued England. In those early encounters, Barjon and Margaret made sure to stay clear of her. Yet they were not so lucky in other cases and had to fight their way out. Even after all these years, Beth is still the same, albeit more unhinged in the decades prior. The white-haired pirate seductively walks towards him and whispers in his ear. "What brings you here, love?" she asked. "The Skelkies," he replied. The female captain laughs innocently and walks away. She turns to one of her crates that has the skin and grabs one from the inside. Tossing one over to him, the witch notices his scowl. She pouts. "What's wrong? I thought you needed them." Barjon glances at the Skelky skin below and hardens his gaze at her. The witch knows Barjon is in no mood for games. Thus, she decides to act more seriously. "Look, Barjon, I'm a pirate. My crew and I raid from place to place, yet most of the booty we gain is not ours. You must share the wealth with the lord of these isles, Zarakoth. Do you know how much wealth we had to give up? That scaly bastard?" Barjon groans in annoyance. But Beth continues regardless. 60%! That leaves us... Before she finishes, Barjon raises a hand to her. "Spare me your sob story. You're not a victim of circumstances." The Hydra corsairs enjoy what they do, and the protection they have under Zarakoth. You even have the pleasure of continuing your experiments. The statement enrages the pirates, and men draw their swords. The witch stops him. "I see you are in no mood to enjoy our company, so I'll make this brief. Leave now, and my friends will give you and your companions safe passage home." "What friends?" Suddenly Beth unsheathes her cutlass and points the tip directly at his throat. "Don't try my patience, Barjon. I know your friends are on the cliff overlooking us. We saw your company arrive on the shore." Barjon curses quietly. "My men are already up there. They won't hurt them unless I say so. Thus, I ask you once more, take my offer," threatened Beth. Barjon is in a difficult situation. He and his companions need the Skelkies, but Beth will not give them up without a fight. That's when an idea pops into his head. "You're a gambler, right? How about I fight you for the Skelkies? If I win, you and your crew will leave this place and forsake piracy." Beth chuckles at the request. "You just don't know when to quit, do you?" "Agreed. But if I win, you and your friends will be our next tribute to the Lord of the Isles. In your lovely town, we turn to our new base of operations." This is a risky bet. However, Barjon saw no alternative. "Agreed." Shaking the deal, Beth orders her men to make space, giving them plenty of room. Taking full control of the deck, Beth grabs a sword from one of her crewmates and tosses it to Barjon. He catches the sword but drops it. His action confuses the female pirate. "What the hell? I won't fight you with a blade." "Are you getting particular now?" Barjon extends his hand to her. "I'm a man of the cloth. I cannot fight you with a blade." Beth grunts in annoyance. "Fine, give him a damn oar or something," she said aloud. One of her men tossed Barjon his weapon. This was more to his liking. "Now can we fight?" asked Beth. Barjon nods his head. "Normally one would say ladies first, but you're not a lady." "At least not anymore," quipped Barjon. Growling, the female pirate lunges at him with her sword. He deflects the blow using the oar and smacks the captain. Beth rubs her head and feels a bump setting in. Angry, she swings her sword downward, but Barjon manages to block it. The two then realize that Beth's sword is lodged in the shaft of the oar. Taking the initiative, Beth places her forearm on the blade, trying to break the wooden pole. Struggling, Barjon falls to a knee. He then sees Beth leaning over him, cracking a sinister grin. Barjon is becoming impatient. Breathing softly, he surprises the pirate queen as he falls on his back, using the momentum to toss Beth over him, loosing her sword. She tumbles over him with her back, hitting the ship's main beam with a thud. In a display of honor, Barjon quickly gets up, pulls the sword out from the oar, and tosses it back to her. Taking the sword, Beth turns around. She groans in pain, but has a slight hiss like a snake. Blood drips from her head, as well as skin torn from her face, revealing something else. Underneath is not bone, but golden scales, almost lizard-like. Before he could react, he yelps in pain and sees a red slash across his right arm. The wound is not deep enough to cut bone, but it is still a severe gash. Gazing over his shoulder, he sees Beth behind him. Suddenly he cries again, as his left arm is cut. This time it was a puncture wound, as if a giant needle stabbed him. Before he could react once more, his back, torso, legs, and face are covered in cuts. Beth is moving at an inhuman rate. He tries to protect himself as best he can. While he has the powers of an angel, he's not used them for quite some time. He solely relies upon his centuries of martial training. Barjon has to step up his game. Seeing an opening, Barjon makes a fist and swings blindly. His punch connects with Beth's cheek, sending the pirate a few feet backwards. Breathing heavily, he sees that his cloak is covered in blood. He then tears the garment off him, exposing his tattooed body. Beth chuckles. That's a lot of blood, Barjon, and I thought your kind didn't bleed. Barjon looks at her in shock. Excuse me? He asked. I had my suspicions about you when we first met all those years ago. And now I know the truth. Barjon feels his heart race. You cannot let her expose you, said the voice in his head. She must be killed. Without thinking, he charges at Beth, tackling her to the ground. Pinning one of her arms, he punches her in the face repeatedly. Each fist, driven by rage, shakes the ship with a powerful force, and the occasional squish from Beth's face. It echoes up and out of the cove, mimicking cannon fire. Blood splatters all over his face. His knuckles begin turning purple, and as he raises another blow, he stops himself, seeing his handiwork. The corsairs are white as ghosts. No one has ever seen a beating such as this before. Many jump ship and retreat from the cove, fearing they might be next. Those who stay are paralyzed by fear. As for Beth, she has a swollen eye, a broken jaw, and a bruised cheek. Breathing heavily, he releases his grip on her and approaches one of the crates. Punching the top open, he grabs a handful of white angel and stuffs it in his pocket. That's when he hears Beth laughing in pain. Her chuckles have a hint of wheezing due to her ruptured throat. He turns around and stares at her. Why are you laughing? He grunted. Beth slowly gets up and stares back at him with madness. As a child, I was raised to believe that angels were better than humans. They could not feel anger or hate, or give in to their emotions, but that's a lie. That's a damn lie. You're no better than us humans, especially you. You're nothing but a wary old dog, and old dogs need to be put down. Suddenly, Beth reaches into her pouch and pulls out a strange green vial. Popping the top off, she guzzles down the green liquid. Soon her body begins to twist and contort. The sounds of breaking bones and tearing of skin makes Barjon's skin crawl. The sight encourages the rest of the crew to panic and flee the ship. With each motion, her bones break and reset over and over. Grinning widely, she falls on all four limbs, outstretched and skin peeling off. As she lifts her head, she lets out a bellowing roar. Her head splits into 5 pieces, each becoming a separate head. It is here that Barjon discovers what is happening. He tries to jump off the ship, but a golden tail blocks his path. To Barjon's horror, Beth has fully transformed into the creature of her crew's namesake, the Hydra. What on earth is that? Said Fiona. Back on top, Fiona and the others scare off Beth's pirates. They look back to the cave's entrance and see a massive creature on top of the ship. It's the Hydra, a beast from Greek mythology, replied Ambrose. It seems the myth is a reality now, said Colm. What do we do now? Nothing. We can't kill the beast, it will only grow back. But with Barjon distracting the beast, you can sneak on board and free the Skelkies. That is risky, Ambrose, even for you, said Colm. We have been in worse situations before in the Irish army. Come on, we need to hurry. Back down in the cove. Things aren't going well for Barjon. You're not going anywhere, shouted one of the heads. Barjon dodges another strike from the golden water serpent. He knows he cannot do this forever and risk any more damage to the ship. The Skelkies are still below deck. Just then he sees his friends from the corner of his eye. He does not know what they are planning, but he has to keep the Hydra's attention solely on him. He tries talking to her. This is new, Beth. I knew you were a witch, but never thought you could do this, said Barjon. One of the heads snickers, revealing rows of jagged teeth. So tell me, why do you really want the Skelkies? I already gave you my reason, replied one head. You gave me a reason, but that's not the truth. What does Zarakoth promise you? Freedom, said another. Freedom? What freedom could you possibly want? He inquired. For the past several years I have struggled with my condition. Zarakoth informed me that his mages could fix me if I provided him enough Skelkies, so he may extract their transformative essence. She hissed. I refuse to live like this anymore. With Beth distracted, Barjon's friends approached a dock at the far end of the ship. They confiscate a boat and begin to row their way towards the ship. Back on board the vessel, Barjon begins formulating plans to stop Beth. According to the myth, two heads emerge if one is cut off. But what about the heart? Seeing the sword on the ground, he rushes towards it, only to be swept up by one of the Hydra's tails. The swipe from the tail strips Barjon, causing him to fall and land on his back. His already exposed wounds become even worse as his body screams out in pain. Just then he feels one of the heads coil around his body, crushing him. He remembers the vial in his pockets with his bones beginning to creak. He cannot let it break. Scrumming around as best he can, he finds himself unable to move. Desperate, he chomps down on the Hydra's neck and sinks his teeth deep into the reptile's flesh. Beth roars in pain momentarily. This allows him to lift his arms out and grab the vial of Gorgon's blood and White Angel. Quickly sprinkling the powder on the open wound, he drops a small dose of the blood. There is a light hiss, then a loud explosion, which severs the head, coiling around Barjon. Bits of flesh and golden scales scatter the deck. The explosion drops him onto the floor, feet first. He quickly rushes over to a few more crates of White Angel and rips their lids off. Doing so, Beth roars again in pain from the severed head. His blood gushes everywhere across the deck of the ship. However, the blood subsides and the neck grows a new head. Running out of time, he gathers a few bags and places the vial back in his pocket. Turning around, he sees Beth cornering him. Their hot breath fills Barjon's nostrils. Seeing no way out, he prepares for the worst. Suddenly he hears gunfire coming from the other side of the ship. It is Ambrose and the others who are shooting their rifles at the monster. The bullets do not harm the creature, but they do provide a necessary distraction. With the Hydra busy, Barjon runs up behind the Golden Serpent. Picking up a nearby oar, he breaks it in two and uses it to climb. Using the wooden pegs, he slowly makes his way up to the nape of the neck of the main Hydra's head. This will be a challenge. Taking a deep breath, he continues his ascent, narrowly avoiding the gaze of the other heads. Thankfully, Beth is too distracted to notice anything else. As he nears the top of the skull, he hears a low hiss. Looking from the corner of his eye, one of the heads is locked on him. As the creature rears its head to strike, Barjon reaches into his pockets, pulls out a bag and the vial, and throws them into the gaping mouth of the Hydra. Nearly avoiding the creature's powerful jaws, Barjon jumps off the Hydra and gives one final taunt to the witch. Enjoy your medicine, Barjon shouted, as the head engulfs the powder and the vial of blood. Almost instantly, an internal explosion reverberates all across the other heads and to the main body. The damage burns the throat as it goes all the way down to the beast's gullet. The Hydra screeches in pain and agony and falls off the ship into the water. Landing back on board the vessel, Barjon and the others no longer see the Hydra's outline in the water. They are victorious. Thank you for saving us, Barjon, said one of the Skelkies. With the Hydra seemingly dead and vanished, Barjon and his allies free the water beings from captivity. It was a team effort, said Barjon, nudging Ambrose and the others. With the Skelkies free, the creatures are happy to provide Ambrose and the others with the much-needed medical supplies. Thank you for your assistance. I'm sorry we could not save all of you, said Ambrose. You came to our rescue. That was more than enough, replied one Skelkie. With the goal complete, Ambrose and the others say their goodbyes and return to their boat. However, unbeknownst to them, no one notices a faint glimpse of a female figure swimming underneath the water. A figure with ghostly white hair. Chapter 7. Lord of the Isles. Turning away from Ireland and looking towards the English coast, one of the most powerful kingdoms in Great Britain is the kingdom of Uxtrus. Built upon the horrible sins, crimes, and betrayals of its past, it sits among the unhappiest realms in the New World. The military wealth and notoriety give Uxtros its greatest strength. Unfortunately, they fell behind in medicine, fruit production, and clean water. For the citizens, Uxtros is a totalitarian kingdom. While a few groups oppose the current leadership, sadly, there have not been any significant revolts for a long time. The current threat to the kingdom is a disease, but the administration pays little attention. They're depressed. The people live grim lives. But religion helps keep their spirits up, despite lacking the necessary supplies. Religion holds great importance to the people, and if anything makes them more modest. The evil Uxtros are also moderately spiritual and have been for a very long time, as they hold beautiful customs and ancient traditions. One such tradition is the Festival of Nations. Held every 9 months, the festival is a time of helping those in need, decorating homes, creating charity gift baskets, and athletic competitions. The festival lasts 10 days, but the first half is often celebrated more strongly and most anticipated. Another tradition is the Festival of Elders, held every 3 years. During this festival, the people celebrate coming-of-age rituals for young men and women, and have them partake in skill-based competitions. It was officially celebrated for 6 days, but enthusiastic people often celebrated a few days more by starting earlier. Traditions like these are what makes Uxtros a promising place, in the beginning at least. However, they practice in secret now, fearing punishment from their overlords. At the heart of the kingdom is Ashantire Fortress. Built inside a newly desolate volcano, 11 thick square towers surround the fortress in almost a perfect circle. They are connected by enormous narrow walls made of yellowstone. Ornate windows are scattered generally around the walls in seemingly perfect symmetry, along with holes of various sizes and archer posts and artillery placements. A moderate gate with broad metal doors, a regular bridge, and oil pots guard the city within the extinguished volcano, leaving only one entranceway in and out. Giant statues of kings decorate the bridge outside, as do memories of past conquests. This castle stands the test of time despite cracks beginning to show here and there. And now inside the fortress was the throne room. Center braziers, half enclosing each of the 14 basalt columns, light up the lower levels of the throne halls, and cover the entrance in warm orange and dancing shadows. The paintings of vast landscapes on the terraced ceilings dance in the flickering light, while statuettes and stone effigies look down upon the porcelain floor of this impressive hall. A ruby rug splits the entire room in half from the door to the throne, while ribbon banners with burnished sides hang from the walls. Between each flag hangs a lantern. All but a few have been lit, and in turn illuminate the sculptures of the fiercest creatures of this kingdom below them. Big washed glass windows are covered by the drapiers, colors the same ruby as the banners. The curtains have been adorned with jewels and decorative patterns. And finally there was the throne. It was an imposing piece of marble which sat atop a tall, elevated platform. Textured and layered sculptures covered the throne, and fixed on each of the wide armrests is the jade head of a legendary creature. Thick pillows are dark ruby, and these too have been adorned with ornate margins. Now who rules this kingdom of wealth and despair? Not a man, but a dragon of old. His name is Zarakoth of the Draconian Ravagers. His eyes are a dark ruby, which sit tightly within his thorny, long skull. This gives him a savage-looking appearance. Atop his head, just above his short, round ears, are several small central horns, while several rows of small horns run down each side of his jawline. Sorry, viewers and listeners, as I clear my throat. It makes him appear to have a beard, if one could call it that. It's not as short and sprouts two short curved nostrils. It's like all dragons, his mouth is full of sharp teeth that poke out from the sides of his mouth. For having such an intimidating skull, his neck is relatively thin and runs down from the side of his head into a bulky body. However, he is covered in crystal-like skin from head to toe, with an even thicker armor plating row running down his spine. From the offset, Zarakoth resembles most drakes. He has 4 limbs, each having 5 digits, with each end having huge claws seemingly made of crystal. As for his wings, they're enormous. Starting from his shoulders and ending at the edge of his shoulder blades, his wings are bladed in structure, with the inner sides of the wings full of small holes, with each bone structure ending in a curved yet blunt tip. Finally, his tail is long and ends in a sharp, arrowhead-shaped tip with the same crystal-like skin covering its body. Though having the appearance of great drakes of folklore, Zarakoth is an anomaly in dragon society. For starters, he's shorter than most of his kind. Already fully matured, he's only 15 feet tall. But he makes up for his lack of size in sheer ferocity. Another difference is that, unlike his compatriots, who walk on all fours, Zarakoth walks upright like a man. Yet, the most significant difference for Zarakoth is that, although he can breathe fire, and his claws are sharper than any weapon forged by man, he prefers his sword. Yes, Zarakoth is a swordsman, and a good one at that. Yet what kind of sword best fits a dragon such as he? Zarakoth's sword is based on the design of the famous Scottish claymore sword, the heaviest and longest sword on the battlefield. In the dragon's hands, it slashes through armor like butter. He carries no sheath, thus the blade is always out in present. As he admires his sword, the door is open, and 3 ravagers and the white-haired woman enter. The ravagers shove her towards the throne steps as Zarakoth. Ruby eyes greet her. "Lady Beth," says Zarakoth. "What a surprise." The Dragon Lord places a paw on the woman's shoulder. Looking at the mighty ruler, he does her best to exuberate confidence. "Zarakoth, dear, it's been a while. I wish my arrival had come under better circumstances. But as you see, things went..." Zarakoth leans his bulky head towards her and whispers in her ear with a low growl. "Where is your crew?" he asks. Beth gulps and replies to her client, trying to avoid his opposing gaze. "Our ship was ready to leave the island when we encountered resistance." "What kind of resistance?" asked Zarakoth. "A small company of priests from Ireland found our ship, and..." Beth yelps at the Dragon King's nails dug into her shoulder. She winces in pain. "Men of the cloth bested you?" shouted Zarakoth. Beth scrambles to finish her sentence before it is too late. But these priests, they're accompanied by a Nephilim," said Beth. Zarakoth loosens his grip on her, but just for a moment. "Do you play me for a fool? The only Nephilims that are alive serve Lucifer and his army." Beth shakes her head. "Not this one. No, this one's different. He has angelic tattoos on his back. Specifically, angel wings." Zarakoth's tail suddenly wraps around her neck, choking her. He lifts her in the air. "And what, pray tell, is his Nephilim's name?" he questioned. She manages to get out one word. "Barjon," she gasps. With a quick squeeze, he cracks her neck and drops her lifeless body on the floor. One of the Ravagers soon speaks up. "Do you think she was telling the truth, my lord?" The Ravager asks. "Truth is a matter of perspective. However, the idea of a Nephilim working on the side of good does raise some questions." Zarakoth strokes his bony chin. He then turns to his men with a single order. "Take a small company of flyers to Ireland and confirm the pirate's statement," he ordered. "Sir, how will we know where to find him?" asked another Ravager. "I have allies on a small island." "You would go to them and ask around. Find this Nephilim and bring him to me alive, if possible. And the others? Kill them." And with that, viewers and listeners, we conclude. Now, Barjon's secret is out. And it looks like the safety of his friends has now been put into question. So, if you like this episode, make sure to comment and subscribe. And if you want to buy a copy of Michael, Last Angel of Earth, make sure to go to my bio and click on the link to purchase a copy. And if you do purchase a copy, please leave a review. Reviews are very helpful for us authors. And as always, this is the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode.